Hello, everyone. Welcome
Hey,
back to another episode of the Waffle Press Hangouts. I'm your host, Diego Crespo. With me today is my co-host, Universa.
hello, how are you?
I'm good, and I'm even better because, Gene, you brought a friend with us today.
Yeah, yeah, we haven't had a guest in a little bit. Everyone, locked down, but it's good to see different people, you know?
Yeah, no, it's important to keep talking to people, take care of each other out there, wash your hands, wear masks, all that jazz. But with us today is Frank Forte. Frank, how are you doing today?
Good. How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
Good, it's going good. Yeah, Frank, met you on a set of short film that you were working on. I was working on. It was called the Soundman. It was,
Yeah, Soundman. We're in
mhm.
we're in post now. We're almost done with it. It's looking really good. And yeah, Gene answered a call for some extras. We had to
Mhm.
have some people dress up as birders and twitchers because it was like this. A woman gets up to try to give a talk on a rare bird, and it starts going awry. And we needed a bunch of extras to be in the audience, and a lot of people. We had like 40 people answer our call, which was really great. And Gene
Yeah,
was one of them, and we kind of just started talking between takes and kind of chatted about comics and everything. And he told me he had a podcast and said, "Hey, maybe you should come on." So finally, we're getting around to it. That was in March. We filmed that, right?
yeah, it was like a whole other lifetime.
Yeah. I'll send you guys a link to the trailer and the website if you want to see it. But it's looking really good. We're going to start submitting to festival, so hopefully we'll get in. It's coming together well. Yeah, we like it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's good to hear. Yeah. When we started talking on set, I think drew up the conversation since you're a content editor at Heavy Metal magazine. I've read some issues in the past, and I was a big fan of all the artwork and
Oh,
everything. And
cool.
yeah, you're.
Yeah. That's one of my jobs. I'm one of those guys that has like many jobs. I do all sorts of stuff. Maybe too much. I work as an editor at Heavy Metal. I've been doing that since about 2010. Um, I have a publishing company called Asylum Press. We publish stuff like Warlash, Steve Mannion's Fearless Dawn. We've done Undead Evil. We've taken a break for a while, but we're kind of getting back into it. We could talk about that a little bit. But I also
Mhm.
work as a storyboard artist, animation, and film. I do fine art and painting, and now I'm into like film, the short film production. So yeah, I do a lot of different stuff. But yeah, Heavy Metal was one of the things that I do, and I'm still there. And we just put together our 300th issue, which is like a milestone. And I had a hand in editing a bunch of the stories. So 299 just came out. That was our fantasy special. And
Mhm.
yeah, 300 is going to be really cool when you guys see it. It's got a brand new Mobius, not a brand new Mobius story, a Mobius story that was never translated into English.
Hmm.
So it's a 6-page Mobius story that you've probably never seen before. We have some Liberator, but yeah, a lot of cool stuff. If you like heavy metal, there's a new there's been a reboot of it. So it's entirely different editorial team, creative team, and we're kind of making a new break with issue 300.
Yeah, very cool. I definitely want to check that out. I'm a big Mobius fan, so
Oh,
love
cool.
all his art. Yeah, I love all his artwork.
Yeah, I think you like the issue for sure. Yeah, Mobius, Liberator, who did Rank Xerox, Corbin. Those are the three guys from like the past, kind of like the first issue. Oh, and Mark and Vaughn Bodie did a story. Bodie and Mobius were in the first issue of Heavy Metal, so we kind of wanted to go back to issue one and kind of bring that together. Liberator with Rank Xerox was there in the 70s and 80s. Corbin, of course, was there. I think he was in the first issue as well. And then we got a bunch of new talent.
Mhm.
Matt Medme did a story. Um, we have David Irwin. We're doing a Tarna story. There's a Glenn Fabry does a cover, and we have uh, Duke Mighton came aboard. Kelly Jones is in it. It's a really cool like all-star issue is what we're calling it. So yeah, fans of new and old heavy metal, I think will really like it. And it's kind of like a reboot, great jumping on point if you want to start some new serials, see some new short stories and kind of see what the new heavy metal is all about. It's all about, celebrating the old talent and bringing in new talent as well. So, and again, sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, and serials as well as short stories. And I think it's going to be really cool. I think people are going to really like it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Speaking of new and old talent, how did you get started in animation?
So animation, I was kind of like trying to make a living doing comics in the 90s. I was part of that black and white boom with this comic I had called Vampire Versus. I did some stuff in Cry for Dawn. I worked for Boneyard Press. And, the indies, you could make a little money at the beginning, but when the bottom fell out of comics in like 95, when you had the distributor wars, it was difficult to make money. It became difficult. A lot of stores went under. All the distributors went under. I was having a hard time breaking into the mainstream. So I realized I needed to make money somehow. So I took a job in a little animation studio in Connecticut. And after they went under, I came to LA because I liked storytelling. And I knew I could tell stories with pictures. And I decided that storyboarding was a great way to go because I could draw all that stuff, from comic book drawing, backgrounds, characters, guns, and cars, and spaceships. So I had a knowledge in all that. But I had to do something, but comics was not making me the money that I wanted to. It was hard for me to survive. And when I found out that storyboarding was a way to make money, I tried to do it in Connecticut and New York. It wasn't happening, and I knew all the work was out in LA. So I moved out here in 2002 and just started trying to show my work around. I kind of wanted to work in either animation or live action. I wasn't sure how the business worked or how to get jobs. So I just kind of came out and started showing my portfolio around. And I did kind of straddle the two. I worked in some animation, I did some live action, and I still kind of work in both. So I kind of like it because there are different, it's kind of like a different dynamic. You do a lot more drawing in animation and you can control it more, but sometimes I don't want to do all that drawing. And when you go to live action, it's more like you're giving the director a blueprint for what to shoot on the set. So it's less drawing, it's a lot looser. So there's kind of cool things about both, but I like being able to dip my toe in both waters,
Yeah. Yeah, going off of it, you've been working for so long. How has it changed kind of right now in this moment of just like working remotely during, kind of this pandemic? Can you talk a little bit about that,
Yeah.
how it affected?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think for the animation productions that were going on, they were pretty much able to make a seamless transition into working from home, and working remotely, because animation is kind of set up like that, where you could all work from home, send your files in, the director can look it over, make notes, send it back to you. It's a kind of a seamless transition. And then when you're done with that, you could send the stuff overseas, it could get animated, sent back. But for live action, it pretty much stalled because of people have to be close quartered on a set. There's no real way to do it. They haven't really figured it out yet. So all the pre-production for storyboarding kind of shut down. I was actually working on Conjuring 3 at Warner Brothers on the Warner Brothers lot when this whole thing went down. Like, I went in on Monday and people were like, okay, great. We're going to start. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Tuesday, it was like, hey, there's this like virus in China, but it's not going to come here. Don't worry about it. By Wednesday, it was like, the virus is spreading. We're kind of worried about it. We're not sure. We're just going to take it. And then by Thursday, it was like, we're probably working from home on Monday. We're going to see what happens. And then by Friday, it was like, we're shut down. Like, it was like that fast, and it was just done. And all the live action stuff shut down. I think a few things might be going on here and there, but they're reluctant to start pre-production because they don't really know when they can go into production.
Yeah,
animation's going. I mean, it's not like they've greenlit a lot of new projects, but all the ones that were going never really stopped.
Yeah. Yeah, that like week, I think it was like around like March 10th,
Yeah.
that
Uh-huh.
second week of March. Yeah, it was like a horror movie in itself where it
It
just
was.
everything, yeah, slowly
And out here it was like a
died.
gray week, like the sun wasn't out and it was
Hmm.
like gray. So they even added to the doom and gloom. It was crazy,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, it's like someone yeah, it was very cinematic. Definitely. But is there, it's good that at least animation, is still just working remotely and kind of has that luxury. Is there anything that's like any like is what are the strengths of just doing that from home? I mean, obviously, staying safe, but do you think it's improved maybe any parts of the animation industry?
I don't know. I mean, I
Mhm.
think a lot of people like to go into a studio and have some social interaction with people. If you have a long commute, it's probably good for you.
Yeah.
Um, for me, I'm not currently on a job right now, so I was able to focus on a lot of my own stuff. So
Hmm.
the comics that I wanted to finish, my Goon cartoons for YouTube. I mean, for me, I'm able to wake up every morning. I'm not distracted by anything, and I can work on all my own stuff. So I go between my own comics, the Goon cartoons, doing stuff for heavy metal, a few other things, this film that I'm working on. But for me, it's great because I'm able to focus back on my own creator-owned stuff. So I'm liking it. I mean, I want to get a job again soon, but right now I'm on a roll and I'm in the creative mode, so I can get a lot of stuff done. So I'm actually enjoying it, believe it or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it's kind of just been like a weird vacation in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it has. I don't know. Were you guys working before this happened, or are you guys still doing your day jobs, or what are you currently working on?
Oh no, no more day jobs here for
Yeah.
me. Got that lovely unemployment life going on.
I see.
But
Yeah.
it is, yeah, to be honest, we haven't really talked about it too much on the show. We've had a couple friends on and we've talked about it a little bit, but like it's not the worst. It's just not good. You know what
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean? Like
I know
it
totally.
it is nice to kind of like at the beginning of this to just unplug, but then like the reality of the situation is just so awful that it's like, oh yeah, no, this is not good to
No,
like
I know.
live in.
And I go through my days too, where like when you really watch the news and you think about it, you're like, oh my God. And at the beginning, it was really depressing and kind of would freak me out. And I'd have to
Hmm.
stay away from the news. I'd have to watch a little news and then just tune it out. And then some days would go by where I would try to not even watch the news for a day because it was too freaky. And
Yeah.
now my brain's a little more accustomed to it. So I'll watch a little bit here and there, watch some tweets, but I try to just focus on what I'm doing so that I can look back on this time and be sure that I didn't waste my time. Because if you're not self-motivated and you're not doing something, I think it's real easy to get depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, most definitely. It's definitely something that Gene and I have also discussed, like even off the show, like
Yeah.
we're trying to make our own stuff happen, even apart from the podcast. And it is just like sometimes it's a little hard, like, why am I getting up this morning? Nothing like
Yeah.
dark, but also just like, why are we doing this
No,
today?
no,
Yeah.
And
It's
totally.
like
it's important to focus on at least some positives, or at least try to find something that makes you happy. So
Yeah.
let me ask you a question, Frank. Then, like, what jobs can you look back fondly on before this all happened? Like what are you most proud of? I guess I would say.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, the thing that I worked on most recently, I was a storyboard artist on Solar Opposites. I don't know if you guys saw that. It's on Hulu. It's
Hmm.
by the same guys that did Rick and Morty. That was a really fun show because we kind of knew that it was going to be a good show just by working on it and the storyboards. We would laugh at the animatics when we were watching it, and similar writing team to Rick and Morty, and it just had the same kind of weird far out humor sensibilities. So that was really fun, and it was a great crew, and everybody was having fun on it. It was one of those shows where you weren't that stressed out and nobody was really on your back or anything. So everybody was having fun and the crew was great. So it was definitely cool. Aside from that, I worked on Bob's Burgers for about 4 years, and that was really great because when I first came on it, second season, nobody knew the show. I told people, I work on Bob's Burgers. I never heard of it. And slowly, second, third, by the fourth season, it was really picking up steam. And I would do Comic-Con every year. And the first year I did it, I was, there wasn't any merch out. So I didn't even know if I mentioned it. There was nothing to really show. Nobody knew what it was. By the fourth season, I think the comic books were out. And I had a little sign or like the comic books, and people just kept coming over to my table. You work on Bob's Burgers? Oh my God. And then for a while there, my table was surrounded and I was like, oh my God, this is like a really popular show. Like you don't see that stuff when you're working on a show. Like you hear about the ratings, but you don't really see the fervor or the excitement. When you're at Comic-Con and you're like, have a sign that says you worked on Bob's Burgers, a show like that, people just are drawn to your table. Like they want to like know you or touch you or just be like, what's it like working on that show? Like, I love that show. And then by the next year, I think my table was pretty much surrounded. You couldn't even get to my table. There were so many people there because of that show. And that's when I was like, holy shit, this show is really, really popular. Like I've never seen a show before. And it really was just, I think it's like more popular than The Simpsons. I don't see that kind of fan base with The Simpsons or Family Guy. It's really crazy. Like Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty, the fans of Rick and Morty are just crazy over that show.
Yeah.
And working on the show was great. It was great to see the cast come in for table reads, and we got to work on the comic book, and like I was there for the table read of the 100th episode, and it was great to just watch the shows in the room and like just watch the show get popular. So that was really fun.
Yeah, we're really big fans of that show. I think it really deserves it because it's just it's so funny, and then it's just so wholesome. You love all the characters.
It's like they know how to write really good, likable characters. They really do. That's what the secret of that show is, I think. But yeah, that was really fun. That was probably one of the more fun times I had. I worked on, I don't know if did you guys see Three Below on Netflix?
No, not yet.
I don't think so.
It was the follow-up to Troll Hunters. You guys, I don't know if you watched Troll Hunters.
No, okay, I
recognize
recognize the title. Yeah. I was treading lightly, but no. Okay, so I was waiting for the last of the series to come out, then I was gonna binge watch all of them. Yeah.
Wizards is coming out soon. And that was cool because it was a Guillermo del Toro project.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really fun. He wasn't really there that much. He came in a few times and you'd see him in there, but he was really busy with his movies and stuff. But that was fun to work at the DreamWorks campus and work on a show that, was created by Guillermo, and it had a big budget and there was a lot of talent on there. And I think the end product was really cool. So, it's not, you could tell by looking at Three Below and Troll Hunters that there was a bigger budget on that than some of the other DreamWorks shows. And it shows in the lighting and the filming and the cuts and everything. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, by all accounts, I mean, I haven't seen it, but yeah, it just looks, just like if Guillermo del Toro did like the Goonies or something.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it was, and I think they just put out a trailer for Wizards, which is the third part, and that's going to look pretty cool. So it'll be cool to see that, and I think they're going to wrap it up with like a movie where after Wizards, they're going to have Troll Hunters, Three Below, and Wizards. All the characters will team up to fight all the villains, and that'll be like the big ending. I that's what they were talking about when I was there, so I'm not sure if that's still going to happen or not. But
Oh wow, that sounds like
Yeah.
huge. Just like Guillermo del Toro's Avengers.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, it'd be like Endgame, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Infinity War or something.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of going off of that, just for animation houses, because you said Del Toro was, he was around, a little hands off. Can you talk about how some of the creative people behind that, how hands on they are, just in different departments?
Yeah, well, like Rodrigo Blas, he was the supervising director. He was there a lot, and he was the liaison between us and Guillermo del Toro. Uh, I mean, Mark Guggenheim, he was like the showrunner on some of those DC shows, right? Arrow or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was on that show, and I think him and the writers got together early and brainstormed and did all the scripts, and then we worked there with the other writers and the other directors and everything. It was very collaborative. Like we were able to throw in gags, and if we had a suggestion for the script, we could suggest it, or jokes and stuff. So they were really open to collaborating. And you know, Guillermo del Toro would come in, I think, once a month and kind of look over everything, make his notes, and then we get his notes like once a month, and then we'd have to go make changes on that. But they were the writers are there to rewrite stuff, so it was pretty collaborative. They were hands
Hmm.
on, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it sounds, yeah, I mean, yeah, it sounds like the dream, just animating. Kind of changing gears here. Can you talk? Because it seemed like you were a big comic book fan. What comic artist do you take inspiration from? Just in all your comic book work.
I mean, there were so many. Like I'm older. I won't say my age, but let's just say when I started reading comics,
Yeah.
here's the comics that were on the stands, right? And I buy them off the newsstand. Um, John Byrne and Chris Claremont were doing their X-Men run,
Hmm.
right? Frank Miller was doing his Daredevil run. Michael Golden was on Micronauts. George Perez was doing Avengers. And for DC, I mean, you still had Kurt Swan like drawing Supermans.
Hmm.
Jim Aparo was doing Batman. And it was right, I saw when, you know, Frank Miller left his Daredevil, did Ronin, and then Dark Knight. So like that was when I started. So all those guys influenced me, all those older guys. And then in the 90s, I liked, like all the heavy metal people like Mobius, Tanino Liberatore, who did Rank Xerox. I was into Mignola. I was, I didn't really gravitate to like some of the image stuff. Like when Jim Lee
Yeah.
was on X-Men, I found that cross-hatching style wasn't really, I mean, I liked McFarlane and I liked Jim Lee, but I thought like everybody started mimicking that crosshatch style, which I wasn't really as drawn to as like something like Bernie Wrightson or Tim Vigil or Kelly Jones, who used like heavy blacks, and Mignola, who used heavy blacks, and people like Mobius I was always into. So I gravitated more towards the alternative kind of looking artists,
Hmm.
Um, but I was there for all that stuff. But I like Miller, Michael Golden. I like Mignola, Mobius, a lot of the French guys like Droulet, Kaza, anyone that was in heavy metal in the 80s, Pepe Moreno. I always liked those guys.
Yeah. No, yeah, amazing, amazing, amazing. Yeah, it's such a shame too. I think George Perez, I think he retired a couple, maybe semi recently.
Yeah, I think so. It's hard to believe that, someone that draws comics would retire from it. Like, I feel like I'm always going to be drawing my own comics no matter what. Like, I'll never really, like Ditko, like Steve Ditko
Hmm.
drew until like he died. Like, he always
Yeah.
worked on his own stuff. He never stopped drawing. So I couldn't see myself like retiring.
Yeah, because I believe Ditko
Mhm.
was doing like a lot of like commercial work or it's like art design, things like that.
Yeah, maybe he did. I know that, he still worked for DC and he worked for Charlton, and there's all these really creepy horror comics that he did in the 80s that I used to read, and I was always creeped out by them. I would read a Ditko story and I'd be like, this would creep me out more than some of the stuff in House of Mystery. It's just the way he drew his characters or something, and his drawing style was a little bit stiff and a little weird, and it wasn't like Miller or any of those guys, but I always liked it for the creep factor.
Yeah, like even on Spider-Man, he always draws like, Peter Parker or Spider-Man just very lanky, when
Yeah,
he's yeah,
yeah,
with
yeah,
his arm is in like a weird direction when he's like
yeah.
shooting the web or
They're
something.
weird. Like the anatomy's not like you would want to see, or it's not like Romita or Kirby, but
Hmm.
there's something about it that I don't know. I always liked it, especially, the horror stuff that he did. Like he was in Time Warp. I don't know if you remember Time Warp. Do you remember that thick DC comic that came out in the 80s?
No, no, I think that the
You guys
little
should check that out
thing.
if you're into like weird space short stories. It's kind of like the Outer Limits. And then all the stuff he did for Charlton, all those, he did a lot of horror stories for Charlton, which were really great. So, yeah, I always liked him. I always really liked
Yeah.
Dick.
I'm definitely into I know Gene is too, the weird science fiction horror stuff. So that sounds right up my
Yeah.
alley. So on the subject of basically creating art like for as long as you can, as long as you're on this planet, do you have any passion projects that you'd love to get started on like soon? I know
I mean,
sometimes you got to play these things close to the vest, but
dude, too many that I could even mention. Really, that's all I'm working on right now is passion projects. So, like, for one thing, I started putting a lot of the comics that I did in the early 2000s and the 90s up on
Mhm.
Webtoon and Tapas. So if anyone's on Webtoon and Tapas, they can find my stuff there. It's Warlash is one of them. It's kind of like a secret agent, an armored secret agent, and he's kind of like Judge Dredd meets RoboCop in a way. So that's all free on Webtoon. Undead Evil is like a H.P. Lovecraft meets Angel Heart. It's kind of like takes place in New Orleans and has voodoo, but has Lovecraftian horrors. That's a black and white comic that I'm doing with this guy, Nenad Gasunja, who's from Serbia. And we've got 2 issues done. We're trying to finish the third one, but I decided to put it out on Webtoon and Tapas just to get people into it. And I'm doing this thing called The Infinite Kid. It's kind of like a manga thing, and that's going to be available on Comixology as well. And that's also on Tapas and Webtoon. Just look up Infinite Kid. So those are some of the comics I'm working on. I've got a website called Beyond Doomsday, which is all of my short stories, sci-fi, fantasy, and horror that were in heavy metal, as well as some news stories that weren't in heavy metal. And that's going to be a hardcover collection that I'm going to kickstart soon. But I have a website, which is beyonddoomsday.com, and that's kind of like everything post-apocalyptic. We have news articles. We're going to do reviews. We're going to do comic reviews. But I want to use it as like a launching pad for this annual hardcover collection of, stories that I write and hire other creators to draw. But it's basically post-apocalyptic short stories. So
Very cool.
those are kind of like some of my comic book passion projects that I'm working on now that I'm trying to finish. And I don't know if I'm going to kickstart them or publish them through comic stores or digitally or a combination of both. I'm just trying to finish them. And if you go to my Twitter and my Instagram, I show little hints of like what I'm working on, like Asylum Press and Frank Forte. I show little hints of it. So I'm kind of like teasing it out. But when we figure out after what's going on with COVID, I'm going to figure out how to publish them. So that's what I'm doing in comics. Those are my passion projects.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, no, I mean that sounds really awesome. I'll put links down to those things down below too in the
Yeah,
description of the
great.
YouTube and
No, totally.
SoundCloud, and yeah, definitely want to
Yeah.
spread the word on those things. So
For
that's
sure.
the comics area of it. Are there any live action or animated shows you'd love to like explore, like either as a storyboard artist or a writer,
Yeah, I mean,
anything in that field?
sure. I mean, the main thing we're doing now too is I also on YouTube I have a YouTube channel. It's called Goon Cartoons, and if you just go to YouTube and search up Goon Cartoons at GOON Cartoons, you'll see all my animated shorts that I'm kind of like the supervising director of, and I'm working with other storyboard guys that work on like Venture Brothers and Bob's Burgers and Ren and Stimpy and Mike Tyson Mysteries and some voiceover people, and we're kind of just there and we're creating brand new original content. It's kind of like if you like Adult Swim, Robot Chicken, Venture Brothers, the old Liquid Televisions. They're kind of like little animated shorts that are kind of funny but geared at adults. And we're doing some Cuphead parodies. We've got a SpongeBob parody coming up. And then we have original stuff like Buck Billy, who's like a redneck vlogger. And we have Pissed Off Possum, which is like a possum that's like really angry at the world. And he's just like ranting and he's like going off about all sorts of weird stuff that like gets him angry. We have a thing called Cut It Out. And the first episode of that is up. And that's kind of like animation that's kind of done in the cutout style of Monty Python. You guys see Monty Python?
Yeah,
Yep,
Definitely.
definitely.
Little shorts. So Cut It Out is kind of like cutout animation that's done with that as an inspiration, but using Flash and using effects and kind of adding a little bit to it. So that's really fun. People are really liking that one. And the second episode of that's almost done. And then we have another original one that we're doing there is called the Ultra Mega Super Squad. And that's kind of like it's almost like a reality show. Like if the Super Friends met the Venture Brothers, met like the Kardashians, it's kind of like if it was a reality show in a superhero headquarters and all the superheroes are dysfunctional and pissed off at each other and trying to like just badmouth each other. That's what kind of the show is. So the little teaser of that is up on Goon Cartoons, and
Nice.
we're working on the first actual episode, which is about 15 minutes. So that's almost done. So really, like Goon Cartoons is the way for me to kind of use my expertise in animation, where I was an animator, a storyboard guy, a background guy, a character designer. I'm kind of putting all of that together and just creating my own stuff.
And to wrap up the last segment of our show, we always talk about what we're watching on Netflix now or HBO or whatever, movies, TV shows. Gene and I, of course, just did our last episode on the best summer movies of 2020, which were, of course, all on streaming. But Frank, what have you been watching lately? What's new in the media world of Frank?
Yeah, so currently I'm definitely addicted to Perry Mason on HBO. It's a really good show. I'll Be Gone in the Dark, which is about Michelle McNamara's book about the Golden State Killer. That just wrapped up. And Alienist, which is, I think, TNT, but it's about late 1800s crime solvers in that era. So that's also really cool, really dark. And then HBO Max I have, so I've been watching Harley Quinn. I watched the first 2 episodes. I love that. And then I finally got into Doom Patrol, which I know it's been out for a while, but I didn't have it. So I watched the first season of that, and that was cool. What about you guys?
I saw the pilot of Doom Patrol. I just want to say really quickly.
Oh, yeah?
I was skeptical, and it is fantastic.
Yeah.
So I got to watch the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really bizarre too. It's not like the rest of the DCEU, but it's connected, but it's like a bizarre, I like it,
Yeah, I just finished the first season. I'm moving on to the second, so I'm a little behind. But yeah, I love how it's just basically just like Grant Morrison's yeah, just Grant Morrison's like run, you know.
Like it's his storylines, is it? See, I don't remember everything about that. I didn't read all of them, but I read some of them a long time ago. But it is his storylines then.
Yeah, it's just kind of like it seemed basically just the like his first couple runs, like they used like Mr. Nobody, a lot of
Uh,
the characters he was. I don't think it's, you know, it's an adaptation, so it's not, you know, verbatim, but
right.
yeah, it's still, yeah, it's, and there's very like few Grant Morrison sort of adaptations out there in like media. You know, he's probably one of my favorite comic book writers, so it's just
No,
cool to
right.
see.
And then I worked with him a little bit when he was editor of Heavy Metal. He was
Oh,
the editor in chief for about 13 issues. So I worked with him a little bit there, and that was really cool. You know, he definitely likes really bizarre stuff. When he was looking at the stuff that he wanted to include, it was
mhm.
all really out there, you know, which is no surprise, but you know. And then he contributed to Heavy Metal with his own short stories. Um, but yeah, he did Happy was out there. That was based on his, right? On
Mhm.
Sci-Fi, I think.
Yes.
And I thought there was another show that he was writing. I remember I read that in the trades.
Oh, it's on that Peacock app. It's like Brave New World. He
Yeah,
adapted
something
the.
like that. So I don't know what happened with that.
Oh, that's streaming right now. Yeah, if
It
anyone,
is?
yeah, wants
Where?
to see. That's on a Peacock, so it's like NBC's.
Oh, it's on Peacock. Right?
Yeah,
You have
streaming.
to pay for that, right?
I believe it's free for right now. Diego,
Oh,
correct me.
really?
Yeah,
I
So would
think they're
did you
doing the
like
old Hulu model, you know, like the old
yeah,
Hulu model where it's free, but there's a lot of commercials
it?
in it
Okay.
right now. Yeah.
So it's an app that you download just like HBO Max and Hulu.
hmm
Hmm.
yeah,
Cool. I'll
yeah.
check that out. And Brave New World, good, bad, weird.
Um, I haven't seen it. I
Okay.
like the book in high school, but like if Grant Morrison's working on, I'm sure it's, you know, pretty entertaining.
Yeah,
But
I thought he
yeah.
was going to write the pilot and maybe write some episodes. I'll have to check it out. We'll have to
Oh,
check it out. That sounds good. Thanks, man. You guys turned me on to that. I didn't know where that was.
oh yeah, of course, yeah. Spread the Grant Morrison word.
So are you
And
guys
then I have to ask, because Gene, I know, has not seen them yet. But Frank, have you seen either Community or Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Community I like, and I've been watching that, and I like that show kind of similar to the way I like
Mhm.
uh, Parks and Rec. That reality show kind of feel, you know?
Hmm.
And what was the other one you said?
Avatar: The Last Airbender?
You're talking about the animation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, I haven't watched that as much as like I've seen episodes, but I haven't sat through it. But I hear everybody loves it. It's great, right?
It's
He loves it.
terrific. And you know what? I'll just use this to make the official announcement. So on the show, Frank, we also do a series of retrospectives where we look back at a series of movies or a filmmaker's like career, right? And so for the next one, my friend Matt and I will be doing Avatar: The Last Airbender. And it has been a joy. Several episodes have been recorded on the Patreon. Those will be available early for
Oh,
people, so
cool.
keep an eye out.
Awesome.
And it's terrific. And I have not known a single person that's finished the first season and not fallen in love with it.
Yeah, right.
Gene, I've been telling you
Yeah.
forever to
Where,
watch
Oh,
this
where,
show.
where can you stream that for free? Can you?
You can watch it on Netflix right now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
there you
all
go.
61 episodes.
Cool. It's awesome. What about anime? What are you guys into for anime? Are you into
Oh,
Kill La Kill or
I'm a
Death
big
Note?
Neon Genesis Evangelion fan.
Oh, did Gene freeze?
Frozen.
Oh,
Oh, okay, you're back. Go ahead, Gene. You were gonna say something?
yeah. Just to I was a big Neon Genesis Evangelion fan
Okay,
past
cool.
last year, and
Nice.
Cowboy Bebop. Love that show. He loves it too.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
Cowboy Bebop is kind of like my holy grail of anime and like top five show situation like
Right.
ever. You know?
I know I was into it and I watched maybe the first 5 episodes. It was a while ago, but I got to sit through and watch all of them because
Yeah.
I really liked that. And I really liked Samurai Champloo. That was really cool.
And
I saw a bit of that too. Actually, same creator, right?
I think so. I think.
Yeah, and then he's still because I remember it got announced 2 years ago. He's still gonna do that Blade Runner anime. Apparently, it's still being worked on.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
he's doing a whole series.
yeah, it's like a series. The creator of Cowboy Bebop is doing a Blade Runner.
Okay, because I know he did the short to tee
Mhm.
up the 2049. That's
Yeah,
available to watch on YouTube for any listeners that haven't checked it out yet. It's really
Cool.
good
Cool.
to watch it.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then I guess that's kind of it. I haven't been watching anything new. I've just been rewatching Avatar for the podcast now. So that's what I got.
Well, look, there's so much stuff. You can almost get burned out
yeah,
because we're forced to sit home all the time.
yeah,
There's so much you could get like, binge burn or something because you're just watching so much and taking it in. Narcos I really like too. I just finishing the second season of Narcos Mexico.
Hmm.
I don't know if you guys will ever watch Narcos on Netflix, but the first two was the Pablo Escobar story.
hmm
And Narcos Mexico takes off after that, and how the other cartels took over when Pablo Escobar died and what happened after that. Based on true story, but fictionalized for
yeah,
TV.
Yeah, no, I've it's so weird. I have a weird relationship with it because I followed like all the production history of that, and like I know they unfortunately underwent like a tragedy, but like all of the behind the scenes stuff of that are so fascinating to me because there's so many talented people whose careers I've started following that worked on that show,
Right.
but I've never seen a moment of it. So I need to sit down and watch it at some point because they clearly have like their eye on the ball in terms of casting, at least.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. You guys are really, yeah. You guys will be addicted to it. Trust me. It's like True Detective in a way. You just can't stop watching it.
yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I told Gina I was gonna tell you, I was gonna draw you guys as Bob's Burgers characters if you wanted to. So send me some photographs, like take a selfie,
Mhm.
maybe like not a straight on, but a little bit 3/4 front, like your head turned, and I'll draw you guys as Bob's Burgers characters.
yeah,
Okay, sure.
that would be
Thanks, man. I
awesome.
appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fans of Bob's really like seeing that because they could kind of like be part of the show,
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm losing my mind already because I love Bob's Burgers. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you. That's amazing. I'm
yeah,
gonna start photoshopping myself into scenes eventually.
Totally.
yeah.
And on that note, thank you so much, Frank,
Oh,
again for joining
thanks
us.
for
This is
having
a
me, man.
delight.
Yeah,
Yeah, and thank you, Gene, for inviting him on and for striking up a friendship. Where can the people find you online? I know we did plugs kind of throughout the show, but again, for the listeners at home.
Yeah, right. So social media on Instagram, it's Frank Forte Art. Same on Twitter, Frank Forte Art. FrankForte.com is my website. And Goon Cartoons is really just look up Goon Cartoons on YouTube. We have a website, but it's really Goon Cartoons on Insta, Goon Cartoons on Twitter. But yeah, we're really looking. If you guys want to, go to the website, go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. We're really trying to do like 3 new original cartoons a week. So if you want really funny stuff, it's short. It's, if you like Adult Swim or Rick and Morty, Liquid Television, Beavis and Butthead, that's the kind of stuff we're doing. And then Asylum Press, my company is, you could go to asylumpress.com, and then I have links there to all the webtoons and all the comics that I've done. And a lot of the stuff is still in print, so you could go to the store and order actual print comics that I have in my garage, like piling up dust and collecting dust. So all the stuff that I created in the 90s and the 2000s, I still have it, so you can still buy it.
nice.
But great. No, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Really fun. I hope you guys, do well with this and get through COVID. And then, every few months we'll get together and touch base or something,
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd be glad to. We'll all be partying in the streets when this is all over or something.
Sure.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
no, that'll be fun. I've always joked about it since it started. Like the moment it's safe for large groups of people to gather, I'm basically just gonna
I
throw
know.
like the biggest beach party like on the planet. Like just come, everyone come, let's hang out.
that's what you want to do. I mean, I've been doing the whole distancing thing where I invite somebody over and we go to my patio and we like stay 6 or 7 feet apart. And it's like that helps because you're actually seeing somebody, because being on Zoom it's like you're watching TV. You're watching TV all day, all night, and then you're on Zoom. Sure, you can interact, but it's not the same as like being there with someone, you know.
Yeah.
You kind of
totally.
need that. You definitely need it, you know. Everyone's gonna start going crazy, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like I know it's like a long outro, but whatever. It's our show. We can do what we want.
Yeah.
But like, I went to a friend's birthday party like 2 months ago now, I think, and they're a nurse, and the only other people there were like nurses, and there was like less than 6 of us there. So I was like, yeah, this is fine, and they're a bunch of nurses, so they understand that this is serious. They're not going to screw around. So
yeah, totally.
But again, thank you so much for coming on. Links to all of Frank's stuff down below, of course. And Gene, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Gene9892.
And of course, check out the Waffle Press on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Patreon, and Twitter at the Waffle Press, and Instagram, and all those places. And don't forget to check out the Patreon, where you can also recommend movies for us to watch on separate tiers, or just get early access to things on other tiers there too. So again, Frank, thanks. Gene, thanks. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks for watching. We have been professionally unprofessional.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good one.